Welcome to tonight's live stream. I am going to get started in a minute. Just need a minute to let everybody know the stream is getting ready to start, and then we'll get the show started. What's going on, TMAC? What's going on, Computer Robots? I'm going to get started in a minute. Just got to let people on Twitter know that the stream is going on. And Facebook and LinkedIn. Glad to see you here, Melvin. Glad to see you here, stranger. Before I get started in a minute, I want to thank everybody who came out and bought books at the end of last month, because you helped me meet the milestone of not only meet the milestone of 100 sales, but we were at 120 sales. So we surpassed the goal of 100 sales for a month. And I want to continue keeping that momentum going. So I want to ask everybody to head over to Amazon and pick up some of my books in paperback and Kindle format, because that helps the channel, and it also helps me to be able to continue going out here and continuing to provide more positive Black fiction to everyone and give you more inspiring, uplifting stories. So get over to Amazon and pick up one of my paperbacks or my ebooks. So that would be greatly appreciated, because I have some great books for 2021 coming out that are available right now in paperback. John Haynes, Taking Care of Business, and Isis, Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. And this is just a sample of these books on the catalog. And that there's a lot of great positive fiction there, but I want to continue this momentum to keep going, because the more sales that I get, the higher up I go in Amazon's system, and that allows me to reach more readers. So I really thank you. Thanks, Ringo. I'm glad to see you here, Kalina and Farside. And that really continues to help build the momentum for the imprint. And it also, again, helps me with the Amazon ranking system. The higher you go in the Amazon ranking system, the more you get more people see your books, and the more they see you in the searches. So really want to thank everybody for helping me meet the goal of 100 sales. That's a major milestone for the imprint, and it's also, a major milestone for a small independent company. So 100 in a month is a major thing. And I also want guys to donate to the Cash App, because that also helps the channel and everything. So I'll leave a link to the Cash App as well. But I'm going to get started on tonight's topic. And tonight's topic, I'm going to be talking about Monique and the beta male Bonnet Brigade that backed up all of those raggedy Black women. Now, this week on Instagram, your Monique came out with a 5-minute video speaking to the sisters out here regarding their appearance. And that took a lot of character for your Monique to come out here and speak to the sisters, because we don't really get that many Black women coming out here to speak to our sisters about issues. Usually, many Black women remain part of the silent majority I talked about in many of my videos. So a lot of times out here, Black women won't speak on an issue, but it took a lot of courage for that sister to come out here and speak on the appearance of Black women, because she truly cared about Black women. Now, your Monique, when she came out here, she took a minute to say, you sisters are looking really bad out here, walking around with these bonnets on and these pajama pants and these slippers and these bedroom clothes. It really looks really bad when you see women out here not taking any sort of pride in their appearance. So it's not a good look when you have a woman out here looking raggedy like that. It makes it look like this woman does not care about herself, does not love herself, and it makes it look like she just does not have any sort of caring about anything in this world. So when you see a sister out here wearing a bonnet and pajama pants to go to the store, that really, it says a lot about her character. It says that this woman does not really care about her appearance, she doesn't care about herself, because usually when a woman is out here, she wants to look her best and be her best. But when it came down to a lot of Black women, they haven't been taking that time out for themselves. And that's really troubling, because when you have a woman who's not taking care of herself, then how can she take care of other people? Because you have to look at this as how it relates to God's order, because the Most High's order, the woman is the helpmeet. And if she's not able to care for herself, then how can she go out here and care for her husband and care for her children? Because if she won't put any sort of standard on herself, then how can she make a standard for the care of the family and the household? And that all goes back to what I was thinking about as related to God's order again and the man, but I'm going to get into that later on. But when you have a woman out here and she's not taking care of herself, that really says something about the whole state of the womanhood in the community. And that's something many of these people out here, after hearing Monique, didn't really understand. And a lot of people, they wanted to go out here talking about, they wanted to go out here and cancel Monique. But I don't believe that sister needed to be canceled, because she was coming from a place of care. And I believe we really need to respect that sister, because one, she's a married woman, so I have to respect her as a married woman. And she's coming from that place, like Ringo talks about results, because she's a wife, she's got children, and she knows how to take care of a husband. So she's coming from a place of results. But you have all of these women out here and these beta males who want to talk about, oh, she's wrong. But no, I can't say that she's wrong, because she has the results, she has the ring, she has the kids, she has the family, and she knows how to take care of a husband and take care of a family. So if she's coming here and trying to speak to you as an elder, then maybe you need to listen, because a lot of these women out here, they've been listening to these feminists and all these other people for so long talk about, oh, you can just do whatever you want and be whatever you want. But this is not a good look for a woman out here to be all raggedy like this. I mean, when you see a woman like that, it's like with this bonnet on, that means she's not even trying to do anything with her hair. When you see her wearing pajama pants and flip-flops, or wearing these house shoes, these slippers, it says that she doesn't really care about anything about herself. And she's willing to just sit there and be at the lowest level of things because nobody has set a standard for her. And when you have somebody who doesn't have an understanding of standards, they are just going to go to the bare minimum. And that's the big problem in the Black community, as I see it for the last 30, 35 years, is there has not really been a standard in the Black community as related to Black women. And that's why many Black women's appearance has really declined the way it has declined, because there hasn't been a man to establish any sort of standard for the woman. That's why your standard is practically in the dirt, because the men are the ones who sit here and accept these women like this. And a lot of these guys, they wound up accepting this because many of these guys, they come from these single mother households. They come from a house where they're used to submitting to the woman. And because they're used to submitting to the woman, they don't understand their role as men, because a man who understands his role as a man, he's going to want to come out here and be a leader. And as a leader, he is going to establish a standard for his woman. And the reason why he's going to establish that standard for his woman is because that woman is a reflection of him. And as the man who is the head and the steward under the Most High God, he wants to be his best, because he wants to not be the best just for himself, but he wants to be his best for the Most High. And he wants his family to reflect the very best, to leave a strong impression on the Most High. So they want to be the very best because they are serving God, and that's why they want to be the very best. But many of our females out here, they don't have that standard, because we had a generation of males who just were practically lost. And those lost males, what they did was go along with the females' ideas, which primarily came from Madison Avenue and Hollywood regarding the Black female image. Now, your Madison Avenue and Hollywood, they don't really have a high standard for the Black female image. And because they don't have a high standard for the Black female image, many Black women, they want to go out here and conform to the white supremacist standard as related to the Black female image, instead of trying to go out here and maintain the standard we established for ourselves. Now, the standard we established for ourselves many years ago was completely different than the standard that we see today. Now, I remember reading about how our sisters used to look really polished and sophisticated, and they did that because many of these racists out here, they would oftentimes present the most negative images of Black women wearing these headscarves, not really taking care of their hair, and wearing the raggedy clothes. And the white supremacist did that because he wanted to degrade the image of the Black woman versus the image of the white woman who he was trying to elevate. Now, this white female's image he wanted to elevate as a standard of beauty, but in order to elevate that image, he went out here and degraded the image of Black women. So that's the reason why you saw your women out here in many of these movies that white people made with this nappy hair, with these dirty clothes, and looking all raggedy, because that's the way the white supremacists wanted the Black woman depicted. So the white woman would appear to be more attractive in contrast. But Black women, because they saw what the racists were doing back then, they pushed back by showing that they could be just as beautiful as these white women. And oftentimes our brothers would go out here and elevate our sisters, and they would create the standard because they wanted to be their best for themselves, and they wanted to show the world that they weren't raggedy at all, and that they could go out here and maintain a standard as related to their appearance and their hygiene. So you would see a black woman out here, she would be oftentimes wearing her best clothes and having her hair well done. And she did this because she wanted to show a value in black beauty. And that's what we saw during the days of Jim Crow. And it was many of those images that really inspired me when I would write novels like The Thetas or books like Spellbound, because I would think about those sophisticated sisters out here and how they used to dress up and look real nice. And they would do this, again, because they understood that the world disrespected the black woman, and they had to take their respect for themselves, and they had to go out here and take that respect because nobody else was going to respect them unless they respected themselves. So when you have black women back in the day, they understood that they needed to keep up their appearance because it was all about them showing respect for themselves and respect for their man, because one of the things that attracts the man is that you taking care of yourself, because when a man sees a woman who takes care of herself, that sends a message to him that she is going to be, in some ways, a possible suitable helpmeet, because if she can take care of herself, then she could possibly be somebody who would be a good wife, because if she can manage taking care of herself and keeping herself polished, then maybe she might be a woman who can go out here and take care of a home and take care of a man. And that's how a lot of women were out here. They understood that, look, I needed that core foundation of a great appearance, because a great appearance leaves a strong first impression on the man. But something seemed to have happened over, I don't know, the last 10, 15 years. A lot of black women stopped taking care of themselves and stopped taking care of their appearance. And this is was a really troubling thing to see, because I used to see it all the time myself, black women not taking care of themselves, not going out here putting on clothes at all, going out here with these flip-flops with the furry tops on them and different things like that, or these house shoes, and then going out here in these pajama pants with a scarf on. And these same women, what's sad is that they're talking about they're looking for a man to pay attention to them. But why would a man want to pay attention to a woman who doesn't take care of herself? I mean, if a guy walked out here with pajama pants and a sagging t-shirt, or walking around here in boxer shorts, most women would look at that guy and they would go, that man is not somebody they would want to even consider for a relationship, because they would look at this dude and they would say, this dude is a scrub. He can't even go out here and have decent clothes on. So I'm not going to want to consider this man for any sort of relationship, because this dude is looking like a bum. Because a guy in a pair of pajama pants and a t-shirt, he's not looking like somebody who is ready to take the lead. He's not looking like somebody who can set a direction for a family. He's not looking like somebody who has his house in order. And he's not looking like somebody who cares about anything, because he's taking no pride in himself. And because he's taking no pride in himself, that's why most people look at him and see somebody that they go, I don't want to deal with that guy, because this guy is somebody who just looks really bad. So they look at him and they don't see anybody they would consider for a relationship, because he's sitting there wearing dirty clothes, wear pajama pants, and talking about how he's some sort of something, but you don't see anything there that makes you look at that man and see any sort of leadership, because he's sitting there wearing pajama pants and thinking that, oh, I'm out here like this. But that's the same thing that the women don't understand they are presenting to the world, because that's the message you are sending to the men, is you're sending them that you're not somebody who is ready for any sort of relationship. You're not ready for any sort of um, part of a family. You're not ready to build. I mean, you're practically broken down. It's like that old TLC song, No Scrubs. Because I remember that song, you had your TLC talking about she didn't want to ride in the passengers with this guy with the passenger side of his best friend's ride. But that's what these women are looking like. They're looking like the best friend in the passenger side of the best friend's ride. And they're looking real raggedy. And they don't understand that you looking real raggedy is sending a message to all of the people out here that you're not ready to take care of any business for a man as related to a family, because you can't take care of yourself. Because when you're out here looking real raggedy, it just says that you're not ready to take care of business. You're not ready to take on God's role. You're basically ready to just do absolutely nothing. And that's the message many women are sending out here, but they don't understand that this is not a good look for them, because a man, when he's out here, he's looking for a woman who is going to be a reflection of him. And what man sees a reflection of himself in a woman wearing some house shoes, some pajama pants when he's out and about on the street? That's a critical question I want to ask many of those women who go out here to the airport, to the Target, to the Walmart. What type of impression are you leaving on guys out, on people out here when you like this? Because it's just sending a really bad message to everyone, and it sends a message of I don't care. And a lot of these women, I believe, don't care, because that was, again, the culture they were taught by many of these single mothers over the last 50 years. And that culture was, as I see it, reinforced by many of these males out here. And it was reinforced because a lot of these beta males, they saw their mother looking and acting like this. And because they saw that as their model, that's why they were out here thinking this was okay. Now, when I looked at all of the backlash Monique received, I had to shake my head. And the reason why I had to shake my head about the backlash she received is because it just made a powerful commentary on the sad state of affairs of black men. Now, your black man is supposed to be a leader in the black community. Unfortunately, when he went out here and put on his white knight outfit for this woman by going out here and putting bonnets on, he showed he was not fit for leadership. Now, these beta males, they showed they were not fit for leadership, because instead of taking the lead and demanding better of black women, these followers went out here looking to defend what was indefensible. So what they did was they got on Instagram putting on bonnets and headscarves and making themselves look like complete bitches. Because when you see a man out here putting on a female's bonnet and a female scarf, that is a message that this man does not understand his role as a leader. This man does not understand his role under God's order. This man has no understanding of what it means to be a responsible steward. And this man is so weak, all he's doing is looking to submit to the female, because he's looking to get her attention and her approval, just like he wanted the approval of his mama. It's similar to what David Carroll talked about as related to the Dear Mama syndrome, because the Dear Mama syndrome sends the message, oh, there's nothing this black woman can do wrong, So I can't hold her accountable because I'm putting this black woman that on a pedestal the same way I put my mama on a pedestal, not understanding that the relationship between a woman and a man is different than the relationship between you and your mama. That was something I learned back when I was 13 years old. I learned that a relationship you have with a girl on the block is different than the one you have with your mama. Your mother's relationship with you is a special one, and it's just completely different than a relationship with a woman that you have out here. Because a man who understands his role as a man under God's order understands that he is a leader, and as a leader, he has to set a standard for his household. And under the standard of the Most High, he wants us, again, to be our very best. And that is what he wants us to be, presenting ourselves in a respectable fashion and presenting ourselves in a way where we stand out and stand proud for ourselves because we are representing the Most High when we're out here every day. So that's why we need to maintain our appearance, because we are examples of the Most High. And as examples of the Most High, we want to reflect him everywhere we go. But you have these beta males who see the black woman as God and worship the black woman, and they don't want to go out here and hold this woman accountable for appearing to be raggedy. No, what these guys want to do is give this black woman a pass for not taking care of herself, and they want to go out here and stand in solidarity with these females, giving them a pass for going out here and just really making all of the black community look bad. So these guys, when they were out here, again, they not only made the black woman look bad, they made the entire collective of black men look bad, because here you are putting on a female's bonnet, putting on a female's headscarf, and that's just a plain, it degrades you as a man to go out here and stand in solidarity with a female by bringing yourself down to her level instead of establishing a standard for her to follow. Because a leader is going to go out here and establish a standard for the woman to follow, because he understands the woman is the helpmeet. The woman is supposed to be following the man's lead, and he is supposed to be the one setting the standard for the woman. And as the one who is the leader, he is supposed to be the one saying, look, if you're going to go out here and be with me, you need to be a reflection of me. And I want to see a woman who is out here representing me at my best. So I want you to go out here looking your best. And that's something a man is going to establish with a woman early on in a relationship, because he wants that woman to reflect him, and he wants that reflection to be the best reflection of him. And he's not going to sit here and settle for his woman looking raggedy, because when she's looking raggedy, that sends a message to the world that you're not taking care of your business as a man. Because when many of these black men, they don't understand what is at stake here, because when your woman is running around with scarves on, with bonnets on, with slippers on, and pajama pants, that's sending a message to the world that you can't take care of business, because the man's job is to not only protect his woman's image, but provide for his woman. And if your woman is out here and she's dressed like this, it's sending a message that you're not able to buy her clothes, you're not able to take care of her hair, you're not able to go out here and make sure that she's clean. And that's a message that really a lot of these guys with the bonnets on don't see that they're sending out here. You're basically sending a message to all of those people in the world, you can't take care of your business. And when you go out here and send that message to people, you're sending a message to people that you are extremely weak, because when you're out here and your woman is looking raggedy, it just says, I have failed at my job as a man. I have failed at my job as a steward under the Most High, because you are responsible for the care of your woman, and you are responsible for feeding her. You're responsible for getting her clothes, getting her hair and nails taken care of. It's saying you failed as a steward. But these beta males, because they got the dear mama syndrome, they're sitting up there thinking, oh, I'm standing up for black women, but what black women are you standing up for? That's a critical question I want to ask many of those black males who put those bonnets on. What are you standing up for? Because what you're standing up for is something that makes you look weak, and it makes you look like somebody who does not need to be respected. Because a man who wants to be respected, he's going to go out here and establish a standard for his community. And part of establishing a standard for his community is insisting that the women in his community carry and conduct themselves in a respectable fashion. Now, that may offend some people to hear, but that is how things are supposed to be. Because men of character, they're going to establish a standard for their community, and they're going to establish a standard as related to the way their women are when they are with them. And again, they want that reflection to make them look good, and that's why they're going to insist that the women that they are married to and have relationships with are going to look a certain way before they go out here with them. And even if they're out here by themselves, they're going to say, look, if you want to be with me, your appearance has to meet a certain standard, and you need to start going out here and taking care of yourself. That's what a man is going to say to a woman, because he's not going to sit there and accept you going out here looking bad like this, because it makes him look bad, and it makes it look like he's not on point. So he's looking at you and going, look, this is not looking right, because this makes me look like a failure, and it makes you look like a failure, and it makes us look like a failure. So I'm not accepting this. You got to do better than this, because if you want to be with me, there's a standard, there's a rule. But many of these beta males who come from these single mother households, they don't understand the importance of having standards. They don't understand the importance of setting a standard for your appearance, because their mothers would sit there and accept anything. And many of the males who they live around, a lot of these whoremonger males, they would just settle for just anything. I mean, many of these guys, if all were looking for was their taste of the atomic waste between these women's legs, so they weren't looking for a relationship with that woman where they cared for her needs. They were looking to just looking to smash and go. They were looking to just, pump and dump these women. And because they didn't care about these women, they went out here and did damage to these women. And they encouraged women not to take care of their appearance, because they made it all about what was between their legs and not looking to go out here and build a relationship with that woman. So that's another reason why we have these low standards, because again, a lot of the males out here, they go out here and say, all I want to do is just get with her and smash, but they're not thinking about, establishing a standard for these women so that they can understand that if you want to be with this man, you have to meet his standards. And part of that standard is insisting that her appearance be out here at its best. But that's the big problem with these beta males. They don't set a standard for black women. And because they don't set any sort of standard, they just sit there and accept what is. But there are some things no man should accept, because if you don't have a standard for the women, then they just go down to the bottom level. And then you have women out here wearing these flip-flops and these slippers and pajama pants. And they're doing that because there's nobody there to say, no, I'm not accepting this. No, I'm not dealing with you like this. This is not acceptable for me. This is not acceptable when we step outside. This is not acceptable when we have guests at the home. This is not acceptable. And because there is no man to say, I'm not accepting this, this is why it goes on. Because these weak beta males, they sit there and go, oh, I'll just take anything. I'm just happy to have the attention of the female. But no, not all attention is good attention, because any woman giving you attention and looking raggedy, again, what does that say about her? And what does that say about how she sees you? She basically is saying that she sees you as less than, because you will take her at the lowest level and you will not demand better of her, because that's part of a man's ability to elevate a woman, is to demand better of her. And he's demanding better because he knows she can do better. And that's what Monique saw with a lot of women these days. She was trying to get women to see they could do better, and they need to do better, not just for a man, but for themselves, because what they were presenting to the world was a very embarrassing picture. And that picture it made black women look really bad. And in some ways, it took us all the way back to those dark images from Jim Crow, where they would present black women in the worst possible light. And this is what we've got with black women. They are just not seeing where they are with their appearance. They're not seeing what they're doing to themselves. And because they're not seeing what they're doing for themselves, they're just sitting there not understanding how bad this is looking for themselves. And they're not understanding what your Monique was doing. I understand what she was doing, because again, it takes a lot of courage for a sister to come out here and call it out. We don't get that many black women to call stuff out. The only other black woman I see calling stuff out is your sister Scheherazade Ali. She came out here and called stuff out 30 years ago as related to black female conduct, and people disrespected her. But 30 years later, we see that she's right. And right now, here we have a married woman with the results of a family coming out and trying to tell the black woman that she's in a bad place. And she knows this because she's got the results of a husband and a family. She's coming out here trying to send you a message because she knows how bad this is going to look for you, especially if you're a young woman. I mean, this is the kind of stuff that can lead to you being kept single for the rest of your life if you're out here looking raggedy. Because if you're out here looking raggedy, the only guys who are going to want to deal with you are these raggedy beta males, because the beta male has no standard whatsoever. And because the beta male has no standard whatsoever, all he wants to do is go out here and be a whoremonger. All he wants to do is get the draws. So he doesn't care about the woman. All he cares about is getting the draws. And once he gets the draws, he's just out the door, and he leaves the woman a complete mess. And that mess, it becomes like the mental and spiritual, because he's become one with this woman spiritually and mentally and emotionally, and this is what leads to the woman being messed up. So these guys, they have an invested stake in keeping the black woman at the bottom of the world, because many of these beta males who are putting them bonnets on, they don't want to step up their game. They want to continue scraping the bottom of the barrel for some easy booty. and they don't care about the woman's face because they don't want to have a face in the world. They don't have any character, so they're going to sit there and say, okay, I'll just take this woman like this because I don't really want to build anything. All I want to do is continue scavenging at the bottom of the world, looking for some bottom booty so that I can go out here and smash and dash. That's all these beta males with the bonnets were doing when they were out here. They were looking to try to gain favor with these women by participating in that simp behavior we saw online. That's what I saw on Instagram when they were out here with their bonnets on, basically out here looking to pander to the female because they thought if I take her side, then maybe she'll want to like me and maybe she'll want to go and give me my taste of the draws. That's what many of these beta males were thinking. That's the covert contract they had when they went out here, and they were looking to just, again, scrape that bottom of the barrel for some booty, thinking they're going to get some if they go out here and go along to get along, because they don't want to raise their standard, because they don't want to put the work in to being better men. Many of these beta males, they don't want to step up their game. They just want to go out here and just scrape that bottom of the barrel. They don't want to go out here and show their work as men. They don't want to go out here and build anything. So they are just looking to get whatever scraps they can. And when they go out here and they see the woman with the bonnet, he's looking to put the bonnet over the woman's face so he can go out here and hit the draws, because he doesn't care about that woman's face and he doesn't care about forming a relationship with that woman. So he doesn't care about her, and all he's thinking about is, hey, if I'm with her, I'll just put the bonnet over her face and then I'll just go and hit it. But he's not thinking about any sort of standard, because a man with standards, he says, look, I don't want to just get with the woman. I want to build with the woman. I want to have a relationship with the woman, and when I look at her face, I want her to be at her best, because I love this woman, I respect this woman, and I want her to be her very best. So that's why he's out here. He wants her to, have some pride in her appearance, because he loves her, and he loves her enough to elevate her, because when he has a woman in his life, he wants to elevate her so that he can have her be his wife, because a lot of women don't understand the role of a wife. They don't understand how important that role is. I mean, that is the greatest level of respect a man could have for a woman out here, by offering to make her a wife. That's him saying, I have great respect for you, and I have so much respect for you, I see myself reflected in you, and so I want us to be together. So the man is going to go out here and he's going to want to have that look, that woman looking good, because that says a lot about her, because he's saying, okay, I want this woman looking good because this is my wife. This woman is somebody who is special to me. And this woman, I want her to be her very best, because this reflects on me. So when guys out here see a woman like this looking bad like this, I mean, that's not something a guy wants to see. You don't want to see women looking like this. I mean, it just hurts my heart when I see the bonnet types and the pajama pants. I mean, this really shows just, again, a lack of self-esteem, a lack of care, and again, a lack of leadership, because it says a powerful statement about the men in the community, because it's the men in the community who set that standard out here for those women. And when you see bad looking women, that is a sign of extremely weak men. When you see women looking bad, that means that they are reflections of the men in the community. And that reflection is that because those men don't care. That's why the women don't care about themselves. And because those men don't care enough to establish a standard, what happens is these women stop caring about themselves because there is no man to demand better of them. And a lot of these guys, they fear, oh, if I demand better, I won't get my taste of the atomic waste. But you as a man have to establish a standard because you have to understand what's between her legs is not that important that you sacrifice intangibles like your pride, sacrifice things like your dignity, and sacrifice things like your self-respect. Because a man who respects himself and has some sort of self-worth, he's going to say, look, you have to come out here looking a certain way. You have to come out here dressing a certain way. You have to come out here carrying and conducting yourself a certain way, because this reflects not only badly on me, it reflects badly on the Most High, because he's provided me with the resources to care for you. And if he's blessed me with these resources to care for you, then you should be out here looking your best, because if the Most High gave us all of this, it's just, again, a disrespect to him. When you're out here like this, you're showing him that you don't appreciate what he's done for you, because you're saying, oh, he's not doing enough for me, so I don't really care. So this is stuff that many of these black women aren't really thinking about. They're sitting here thinking, oh, I'm just not going to try anything or do anything. This is just, again, a bad reflection. But what was really, again, troubling for me was, instead of those men standing up and being men, we saw a bunch of males going out here looking to pander to the female with putting on her bonnets, basically acting like this woman was their mama. But that's not how a man goes out here. A man does not go out here looking to defend mama when he has a wife or a girlfriend. No, a man goes out here and lets the woman know that, look, some of these things are not in order, and some of these things need to be dealt with, because a man's relationship with his woman is different than his mama. And that's the problem with a lot of these black males, is they still see their girlfriend like their mama. And because they're in a codependent relationship, they don't want to hold her to the higher standard that a wife is held to. Because in a relationship with your mama, yes, you will depend on her. But in an interdependent relationship between a man and a woman is held accountable by the man, because as the steward and the leader of the woman, he has to hold her accountable in that interdependent relationship. And part of holding her accountable in that interdependent relationship as a husband is to go out here and say to the woman, look, there's something wrong with your appearance. It's not looking right. I'm out here, I'm working, I'm taking care of you. You should be looking a certain way. And if there's issues as related to mental health, then we're going to go and get you some psychotherapy. But if you're just doing this because you don't want to go out here and make the efforts, then we're going to have to go and work this out. Because this, again, some of these women, what they do is they start getting lazy and they start letting themselves go. But when you let yourself go, again, that is a sign of low self-esteem, low self-worth. And that's something nobody should do, because when you let yourself go, that means you have given up. And no woman should be sitting up there giving up, because that's not what a woman of character does. She understands that part of taking care of a man is taking care of your appearance, because you need to look good for him, because that's how you keep his attention in a relationship. If you're not looking fly, then he's gonna, usually guys are gonna look anyway, but the whole thing is, you're taking this man for granted. You're taking the way he cares for you for granted. And even for yourself, I mean, you're taking yourself for granted. So if you're wondering why, some women are wondering why, oh, nobody's paying attention to me, then the guy's not, what reason should he pay attention to you if you're out here looking like a slob? I mean, again, if the guy was out here wearing some pajama pants and some slippers and he was out here, you would talk about how this man was a scrub. You would talk about how this man was a bum. And you would talk about how this man couldn't do anything for you. So why should you go out here looking the same way, expecting guys to look at you? I mean, this is one of the things that I found to be really, troubling about all the Bonnet chicks, is many of these same chicks are buying into the narratives of the good black man and the high value man, that farce of a gimmick called the high value man. They want some man who's successful to pay attention to them, but why should a man who's successful want to look at a female who is a failure? So I'm going to leave the link to the Cash App again so you guys can donate to the Cash App. We really appreciate it. I want to go back a minute and thank Melvin for the super chat. Really want to thank you for that. Really appreciate it. If you guys want to donate to super chat, you can do so as well. But again, what man who values him, what man out here who has got his success wants to be around a woman who's looking like a failure? I mean, what man wants to go out here and he's got on, his very best stuff like I've got on right now, got on a very nice shirt. And oftentimes I go out here with very nice pants like khakis, or I go out here with a nice pair of jeans that are pressed and crisp, and I go out here with a nice pair of shoes. I mean, if I'm walking out here looking my best, I'm not going to go out here looking at a woman who's looking raggedy and think, oh, I want to be around this type of woman, because if this woman's looking like failure, then why would a successful man who has his stuff together, a working class brother who has his stuff together, want to consider even wanting to talk to this woman? I mean, this woman is showing him that she can't even get the basics right. And she's also showing him that she's not even somebody who is even ready to be prepared to be taught or led. I mean, basically, you're showing the failure to men, and they don't really understand this. And then you'll have all of these, again, white knight, beta male Bonnet types going out here trying to defend this woman. And then you have these feminists defending this woman, talking about, oh, she can do whatever she wants. But when these women wind up 70% single, like I talk about in my book, Why 70% of Black Women Are Single, this is one of the reasons they wind up single. I'm going to leave a link to that book. Take a minute to leave a link to that book, because that book also details a lot of the reasons why Black women wind up single and why they wind up in a bad place. And one of the reasons why they wind up single is because they don't take care of themselves. Because why should a man go out here and want to start building with a woman who cannot go out here and take care of herself? Because again, back to the role of the helpmeet. If you can't take care of yourself, how can I trust you to go out here and take care of my home? I mean, if I'm a man and I'm looking at you wearing bonnets and wearing pajama pants, how can I trust you to take care of the business of my home? And how can I trust you to go out here and take care of my children if you can't take care of yourself? Those are the type of questions men who are out here, working class brothers, successful brothers, ask themselves when they see women looking like this. How can I have this woman as a part of a relationship with her if she can't take care of herself? I mean, when a man is out here, again, he expects you to be able to help him take care of his home. And if you can't take care of yourself, that sends a message to him that you're not wife material. Because if you're out here wearing a pajama pants in the street, that shows that you don't really know how to manage time as related to taking care of yourself, and you don't know how to manage time and taking care of a home. So how can you take care of a man if you can't take care of yourself? And that's what a lot of women aren't really thinking about. They're just thinking, I want to be comfortable. But it's not about comfort. It's about you going out here and setting a standard for the family, because as the first teacher, you are out here sending a message to the kids about taking care of themselves. And if they see you sloppy, guess what they think? It's okay to be sloppy. And that's what these beta male chumps really don't understand. They're sitting up here thinking about, oh, I'm just trying to get these draws, but they don't understand. These women are supposed to teach the children. And when you have a sloppy woman, what is she teaching her kids? She's teaching them how to be sloppy. She's teaching them how to be raggedy. She's teaching them not to have any sort of pride in their appearance or pride in their work or have any sort of work ethic. She's teaching them not to care about anything, and she's teaching them to practically not maintain any sort of standard for anything that a man builds, because as the teacher, she teaches not only the culture to the children, she teaches children to value certain things. So when you have a woman wearing a bonnet and pajama pants sitting there and she's in front of your kids, she's teaching those kids not to care about anything. And that is not a message a man wants to send to his kids when he's building things. When he's out here building, he wants a woman at his side who's going to teach what he has value, and it has such value that they're going to maintain it up to the highest standard, and they're going to make sure that it's very best. That is what part of the woman's role as related to teaching the child is showing that you have to take care and pride in yourself, because when you take care and pride in yourself, you're going to want to go out here and do your very best. And that's what my mother taught me about my appearance as a little boy. I remember her making sure that my afro at the time, I was a little boy, because I had an afro, it was always combed with ultra sheen every day when she sent me to school. She always made sure that my shirts were always pressed. She always made sure that my slacks were always pressed. And I used to wear slacks and sneakers back then, but she always made sure that I was looking good. And sometimes my father would take me out and buy me suits. And all of that was to make me understand the value of my appearance. And as I grew older, I took that with me, because I started looking at magazines like GQ. I started also looking at different things as related to etiquette and, presenting yourself. And I always made sure that my appearance was always on point everywhere that I went. And that was all instilled in me by my mother and my father and my brother. They all instilled this in me about making sure that I looked my best and always looked polished. And I always carried that everywhere I went, because I wanted to, again, maintain a standard of reflecting the best of my family, and making sure that I made my family look good and make sure I make myself look good, because the way I present myself is a reflection of the values I was raised with and a reflection of the family that I came from. So when I was out here, I always made sure that I always looked my best whenever I'm out here. And again, that comes from what I was raised with as a young boy. And I took those values again 47 years later to today. And that's why I can sit here and agree with Monique, and that's why I can support her, because I understand the importance of having a standard for yourself and having a standard for anybody who you're involved with. I mean, when a man goes out here and he is involved with a woman, he wants to go out here and be involved with a woman who will reflect his values, reflect his ideas, and if you're a follower of the Most High like I am, reflect God back at himself, so that he has a standard that they're following. That's what they want. That's what a man would want, and that's what any man wants. And that's why I can get behind Monique, because I'm glad that she came out as a woman and called that out, because that is great character, to call out something that you see that is really hurting our community. Many of these women out here, they just remain silent, but we can't remain silent anymore, because this has to be called out, because you can't have your woman out here looking like this, because this just reflects very badly on the image of Black women, which has already been tarnished over the last 2 decades. So I'm glad that we see somebody actually taking a minute to call out this type of image, because this type of image reflects very badly on women. I mean, how can you have women looking like this and looking raggedy like this and think that this is okay? I mean, I know some of these guys, they come from these single mother households where they're not used to any sort of standard. But when you have come from a standard and you've been poor like I have, I come from living next to the railroad tracks on Park Avenue in the Bronx, but we still had a standard as related to keeping ourselves clean, taking care of our appearance. I mean, if you can have a standard in the worst poverty, again, that shows great character. But when I see people who are making good money on good jobs and they're still going out looking raggedy, I mean, that shows no sense of any sort of value of anything. I mean, some of these women out here who have the bonnets on and the pajama pants. I mean, if you have enough money to get on an airplane or out here, because they say some of these women were at the airport. Monique said they were at the airport. I mean, if you got money to go get an airplane ticket, and you have enough money to go out here and take care of yourself enough to buy some decent clothes and do something with your hair. I mean, that if you got money for the airplane ticket to go halfway across the country, then you need to go out here and look good when you're out here traveling, because what good does it look like? What does it look like if you're on a plane and you're looking bad? I mean, that says something about you that's really sad, because you're sitting here spending $300-400 on a ticket to go either one way or round trip, and you're looking like somebody who was riding a Greyhound bus for $15. I mean, that's really embarrassing when you think about it, because it shows, again, it's not about money. It shows it's about values and character, and that really shouldn't be the case at all. I mean, again, if you got money for this, then you got money to take care of yourself, and it should be guys, again, having a standard saying, look, this is not what, you can't come in here like this, because I mean, it just should not be accepted by most of the men, again, because if the men don't accept it, then the women will step up their game. And that's why we see, again, you see raggedy women. It's because you have men who accept them like these beta males, and because these men set the bar so low, the women don't want to step up to a higher level. Now, if the men stop accepting them and stop putting the bonnet over their head while they try to get their taste of the atomic waste, we would see women stepping up their game and and going out here and actually doing better. Because, again, the man is the head, and if he goes out here and insists on better, he will get better from women, and that's something many of these males don't understand, again, because they have that codependent relationship with their mamas, and they're afraid to confront the women in their lives, because when they look at the woman, they see mama. But when I look at a woman, I don't see mama. I see when you're looking at a woman to be your wife, you are looking at her at a different level, and you're looking at her to be on a different standard. And that's sadly what a lot of our Black men really don't understand. Far side, yeah, Afro Sheen. I am from way back from the late 70s, early 80s. And back then we used to put the Afro Sheen on to get that shine. And that's all part of maintaining a afro. So that was part of my regimen back in the day was, you get ready to go to school, get your pants pressed, you get your shirt pressed, and you would get your Afro Sheen out, and you would comb your hair and get that Afro Sheen on to get that nice shine. So that's all part of my hygiene regimen. So that's something we're not even seeing some of these women doing. And it's not even just the bonnets and the pajamas. Some of these women don't even have good hygiene. They don't even use deodorant or soap. And that's really troubling in and of itself. I mean, you've got females out here not even washing. And I found that to be really disturbing. You've got women just out here stinking. And that was never the case when I was growing up. And it's really disturbing to see and hear about women not even washing themselves or taking care of their hygiene. I mean, this is just, it's again, all due to people not having a standard because, again, all these guys, all they want to do is get their taste of the atomic waste. For the best of them, I'll put the bonnet over the head. And even if it smells like fish, he's still getting his taste of the atomic waste. And it just shows, again, how low this guy is as related to standards. He just wants to smash and dash, and then he'll sit there and talk trash about the woman being nasty, about the woman being stink. But he's the one who's allowing this to go on because he won't set a standard for who he engages with or gets involved with because he puts sex on a pedestal so high. He doesn't want to go out here and say, if I want to have a relationship with a woman, I need her to meet a certain level of requirements. Because while a lot of these guys, they grew up listening to Oprah Winfrey and all these people talk about how they want this good black man and he has to have all this stuff. But the whole thing is, as a man, as the leader, you're supposed to be the one setting the standard, and you're the one who's supposed to be establishing the requirements. Unfortunately, because we had so many boys grow up in single mother households under feminism, what has happened is many of these males, what they have done is just think, oh, I need to just go out here and just go for the minimum in order to get the easiest woman, instead of saying, look, I need to set the standard for what I want in a woman. And if you ask many of these guys, the bonnet types, hey, what do you want in a woman? All they're going to do is say, oh, whoever pays attention to me, not understanding that not all attention is good attention. And you sitting there settling for less keeps you from rising to another level. Because as the builder, you have to set a standard for your household. You have to set a standard for your home. Because if you don't set a bar for everything, what's going to happen is you're not going to get very far. You're not going to get the very best from people, because in order to get the best, you have to demand better of people, and you have to demand that they bring their best to the table, because that's what God wants us to bring. I mean, that's why Cain's sacrifice was rejected, because Cain didn't even try to give God his very best in the offering. Abel brought his very best to the table, and that's why his sacrifice was accepted, and that's why Cain's was rejected, because Cain brought garbage to God and thought, oh, I'll give him these leftovers and this trash as offerings, not understanding that this is the Most High, the being that created you, and you show your respect for him by giving your very best and doing your very best. Because when you go out here and do your very best and be your very best, what happens is you are setting an example to everybody of the Most High. And that's what your black woman doesn't understand about her appearance, is that you go out here and look and be your very best because you want to represent the Most High. You want to represent God. And by going out here and not making any sacrifices to be the very best and just going out here and being garbage, what you're doing is the same thing Cain was doing by just going out here and just handing over garbage and reflecting just the worst of everything. When you're out here like that, again, it's as I see it, an affront to God, because he gives you and provides for you all of these resources. So he's giving you everything, but you're sitting here saying that, oh, I don't need to do anything. I mean, that is another sin, which is idleness, just sitting there doing nothing. I mean, he's given you everything out here to care for yourself. And when you do go out here and not care, it just again isn't, because it's an insult, because he's gone out here and provided you with the very best. And it's just, again, I look at it, you spend it, you got all this money, but you don't want to take care of yourself. That's again, it's just like you don't appreciate what God has given you. And many black women, I don't think they appreciate what God has given them. And instead of them listening to an elder like Monique try to talk to them about their appearance, they just try to go out here and talk about canceling this woman. But I can't cancel a woman who speaks truth, because these truths need to be spoken to the black woman, and they need to be spoken to her, because she needs to hear these truths. Because when you're out here and you're looking like this, again, it's just showing how little you care about the Most High, and how he's given you and blessed you with all of these resources, and you're just gonna just not even use any of them to reflect a positive image of him and reflect a positive image of yourself. And it's just really sad to see many of our sisters out here. They are suffering for a lack of knowledge, and they're suffering because of a lack of leadership, because not a lot of these men, they don't have the courage to go out here and call out this dysfunction, stand by a sister like Monique, who's going out here trying to get our sisters on point. Instead, they want to go put on a bonnet and try to protect dear mama, not understanding your woman just can't be like mama. Devin, I'm working on a follow-up to the man crisis called The Woman Crisis, and this is a book where I deal with a lot of the issues as related to why our females are in crisis. In part of, I'm working on that right now, this book, because a lot of our females are in crisis because they have been miseducated, and they don't know their roles as women. They don't know what they're supposed to do as women, because I hear so many things about women not knowing how to do basic female things like hygiene, not knowing how to do basic things like carry and conduct themselves. And we have a real problem with America's women, just like we have a problem with America's men. And we have a real serious problem that's leading to a lot of women having serious issues as related to them not having any sort of life that is the way it's supposed to be. Because the way our men are messed up, our women are messed up. And we have a culture where the women are learning not a culture of womanhood, but they're learning a culture of feminism. And that culture is taking them far away from the Most High and his order. So that's the book I'm working on right now, The Woman Crisis. And I'm hoping to have it out eventually in 2022. So that's one of the books I'm working on. I'm also working on another John Haynes book for 2022 at Death's Door. I'm hoping to get this comic going. I'm just waiting for the artist to see if he's going to be available. If not, then I'll just try to find somebody else. And I've also got the ISIS Legacy book. I just did the cover concepts for that one. But many of my readers, after reading The Man Crisis, wanted me to write The Woman Crisis. And that's what I'm working on right now, because the woman, like the old African proverb says, a race can rise no higher than the moral position of its women. But I'm seeing also not only the moral position of its women, I'm seeing some spiritual issues as related to the state of our women. And I'm going to go more in depth on that in The Woman Crisis. And I'm working on those chapters right now as related to the whole messed up spiritual foundation of most of these modern Western women. So that's what I'm working on right now. I'm about to get back to that in a couple of minutes. But I wanted to do this stream because when I looked at what Monique was saying in that 5 minutes on Instagram, she was really, again, doing what a woman of character would do, because it takes great character to come out here and talk to these women. And we don't really get that many women coming out here talking to other women. And usually we get guys like Kwame Brown coming out, giving out that mama's cooking to the black men in order to get them right. But we don't get too many sisters out here. All we've gotten so far is Sister Scheherazade Ali. But I was glad to see another black woman come out and speak to the sisters because they need to be spoken to. I mean, there were a couple of YouTubers like Statuesque One and the Radical Sister who come out and speak to the sisters, but this was a prominent celebrity sister, and she came out here and spoke on an issue that needed to be spoken on. And I'm glad to see that, because we need more Black women to come out and speak about this dysfunctional culture in the Black community, where we're talking about WAP and women looking raggedy like this. I mean, this culture we need some pushback from the sisters in order to get a standard, because when I look at the Black females in the community, the moral position is at an all-time low. And when I look at other communities, like when I look at the goth subculture, when they see women looking raggedy, like they call it out immediately and they shut stuff down. And that's the way Black women need to be, where you have women coming out to shut stuff down, like it was in the late 80s with the Angel Heart movie, where you had Black women. That was a show of power right there. Black women coming out, calling out stuff, shutting stuff down, and saying we have a standard for ourselves. We need to get back to that, because when you have a standard and your women are on point, they are going to insist that things be a certain way, and they're going to insist everybody carry and conduct themselves a certain way, because they understand that when you have a community of women, they have to set that moral position, because that moral position is what the children follow. And when the children see you presented right every day, modeling right for them every day, then they learn to follow right. So this is something that's really important, because when you see your women at an all-time low, it's embarrassing to see that. And we need more people to call it out, because this is how you maintain standards in a community. Now, I'm going to get ready to wrap up tonight's stream. But before I go, I want everybody who's in the chat to head over to the Cash app, and drop a donation there, $1, $5. It goes a long way in helping keep me on the platform doing streams like this. And I want everybody to head over to Amazon.com and pick up the latest SJS Direct books, John Haynes Taking Care of Business, and Isis Revenge of the Cyber Goddess. These are great positive stories which feature positive images of Black men and women. I mean, after last month's blockbuster sales, I want to keep the momentum going. So I'm asking everybody to head over there to keep that momentum going. I'm working hard for some weekend book sales, and these are great reading on the plane, on the beach, on the bus. I've got other books like Eternal Night and All About Maryland. Lots of great books on Amazon.com. So if you could head over there and pick up a couple of the books on the SJS Direct imprint, it would be greatly appreciated. So I'm going to leave a link to that on Amazon. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to tonight's stream, and I hope you will be there for next week's stream. Thank you, Devin, for the praise. Really appreciate it. So I'm going to thank you for that, and I'm going to get out of here because I got to get back to work on the Woman Crisis. So I want to thank everybody for coming out to this week's stream. I hope you'll be there for next week's stream.